And the main thing is, if they're not met in balance, then you're going to have some mental health issues. Okay, so let's start with, okay, safety and security. You can think of 100 million different scenarios of people who don't have safety and security. Autonomy. Say you have a woman, a wife whose husband is very domineering and controlling. She basically doesn't have autonomy. So her needs are not being met, and she's going to be on the alert, isn't she? You've got attention. Some kids they're in a home, like here in Marbella. They are very wealthy, but the dad works somewhere else, and the mum's now getting a lover, and they have to look after themselves, and they're not even eating. They're not eating. And they live in this huge mansion. So they don't get the attention. Connection, this is so important. What we're doing now is connecting and encouraging each other. We have to have, connection with other people. Isolation is the worst thing. I've just come from Madrid, and I've been staying with a family where the young man of 30-something has trashed his brain with cannabis, and he is isolating himself in the bedroom. And this has been for 3 years now. And you just go, God, please help this family. And it's so hard to see somebody going through that. Privacy. So when Kurt renovated our apartment, we had no doors except for the bathroom. And I started to feel that I could hear every conversation on the phone, his thoughts, his guitar playing. And so you can imagine, if you are a Nigerian, just moved here, and you're working in Marbella, or you live in Fuengirola, there's 14 of you in 2 bedrooms. There's no privacy. How do you get your thoughts together? Status, we all need status. We can be a sister, a mother, a husband, a wife, a business person, something that gives you status. When you are homeless and nobody's talking to you, what is your status? How can you feel that you have any value? Then you've got competence and achievement. So somebody, like one of my clients that came to me, I've only been able to see her online because she's so terrified of people. So I just said to her, if you can just drink a small glass of water in the morning, clean your teeth, and just something simple like that, then she's going to feel competent and that she's achieved something, because her routine is literally 2 to 4 liters of Coca-Cola every day. Now, this is a woman who has been had reconstruction surgery from the abuse she had as a child and as a teenager. And she doesn't function. She has 2 children. She's married to a man who's very controlling, but saved her from her family. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So she, when I said to her, when you walk your kids to school, what do you like to do? Oh, I love butterflies and I like to take pictures. So I challenged her again, take pictures again, and she started to do that. So then that gives her that competence and achievement. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be the smallest thing, brushing your hair in the morning, Then meaning and purpose that Judy was talking about. We have to have a sense that we're here for something greater than ourselves. That selfish, self-absorbed life is going to cripple you and make you very mentally ill. Yeah? And sometimes people take this to the extreme, and they get into conspiracy theories and everything. And that this can be really, really dangerous if it's not tempered and balanced. So now our resources, the memory, the fact that we can rely on a memory to stabilize us, that actually this is who I am, this is what I've experienced. Rapport. Now, if you are autistic, sometimes rapport is going to be a bit difficult for you because you're not going to pick up on the social cues. So rapport is wonderful if you meet somebody and you look them right in the eye, and, oh, hi, Jen, I've heard all about you, and you just start and then suddenly she warms to me. Rapport is absolutely fabulous. So if you're meeting somebody, like for me, when I meet them on the street or whatever, I say, hey, what are you doing here? And then they start telling their story, and then we build rapport. Can I get you some food? you know, then I'd invite them, yeah, I'd like some cheese, and sometimes they're very particular, okay, all right, oh my goodness, okay. Should I have asked? Anyway, so building rapport, and then once you've built that rapport with somebody who is kind of down and out and, you know, just doesn't feel like anybody sees them, they're going to tell you about their life, and you're going to be so shocked. Some of them we've had in San Diego were top businessmen, and now they've got mental health, they've got all sorts of things going on. Imagination is really one of the most beautiful things because it allows us to imagine danger and then to be able to get out of that danger. Look at a scenario in our minds and go, oh no, I don't think that is wise. Or to dream about something that could be wonderful. Like when you first started collective calling, you started talking, you started dreaming, you started imagining what could it look like. And then you started doing the refugee stuff, and then out of that came collective calling. You know, so it's so beautiful. Okay, the thinking brain. So the problem is if you've had a car accident, or you've had some tumors, or you've had something going on, or you're born you know, with a deficit, or you've done it through drugs. This thinking brain, you know, it's so vital to be able to have a brain that actually functions because it allows you to step outside yourself. We've got the observing self, which this thinking brain helps you to step outside yourself, to see the scenarios that work and don't work. Emotions and instincts. Okay, our emotions, if we didn't have fear, if we weren't able to be able to send these messages to the amygdala and then, you know, run if there's danger, you know, there's a problem with that, okay? Instincts, and so that's all about that. Pattern matching. So pattern matching is an amazing thing that actually allows us. I know this is a wine glass. Usually there's wine in this, so there shouldn't be water in this. So I've got a pattern match with the past. But imagine if I didn't have that pattern match. Well, what is this glass? What kind of glass is this? If you had to do this every single time, so what is this? We know it's a computer. We've learned. We familiarize ourselves. What is this? We didn't have a pattern match. We go, oh, isn't, you know? Yeah. So we pattern match with so many things. And when you are in a dire situation, you can pattern match things to disasters and to difficulties. And so that's the difficulty. So when you pattern match and then you start responding in an anxious way, or in a responding to the trauma that's happened because there was a sound, or there was a smell, or there was a person that looked like the person that abused you, that's the pattern matching. And so that's very useful in therapy to be able to understand that and then to be able to shift that. The observing self is just so good to be able to just, you know, Jackie, you and I have talked about this, about, you know, knowing what's appropriate and not being overly, you know, observing yourself, because that can cripple you. It's like, oh, I'm not going to say another word now because I'm being such a fool of myself. You know, it's actually just being relaxed about yourself. But an observing self is like, oh, I'm talking too much. So Michael, you did that today. You just said, you know, I know I've got a reputation, and good for you. Having that observing self, you know, shows your maturity. It also shows, you know, your sensitivity to others. So that's, I mean, I could talk about all sorts of things, but observing self, let's just give you an idea now. A dreaming brain. Okay, so one of the things that we have is sleep, which is absolutely essential. If we don't have sleep, we're going to start really having mental problems. So a dreaming brain, you know, you have your slow wave and you have your REM sleep, which is your rapid eye movement. During that time, you have all your dreams. Now, some of the newest research from Human Givens, the guy nearly got a divorce by keeping himself awake and all this stuff. Anyway, his wife said enough. Anyways, but the whole idea of having a dreaming brain is that say Kurt really wanted to just get this one guitar piece, and he listened and listened and listened, and he's just so frustrated. What would happen is in his dreams, he would diffuse that aggravation and that irritation and exasperation with something that might not even be anything to do with the guitar, but it would be something that actually diffused that was happening inside of him. Now, if we didn't have that, we would literally go insane. We have to be able to diffuse all the things that are the frustrations. You went to the bank and they didn't give you a new card and they got the wrong name on it and you can't travel anymore and you haven't picked up your flight, your whatever, your ticket in time, and that night you'll be dreaming. And you'll be diffusing all those frustrations. And so that is a very, very important thing. Now, why am I telling you all about this? I'm telling you this because the people you're going to work with are going to have various levels of this stuff met and unmet, okay? And we have to be on guard. We have to be the ones going, uh-oh, I'm seeing this, and then being able to meet it. Maybe it's, oh, your hair looks lovely. I mean, she hasn't cleaned her teeth for a year. Maybe she's missing a tooth or whoever, somebody. And you just say, oh, you've got such beautiful hair. Did you get it from your mother? We have an opportunity. She could look like a complete disaster, but you find something to build that rapport and to be able to give her status in some way. Oh, she thinks I've got lovely hair. Wow, isn't that powerful? So we have to be looking for these opportunities to be able to connect with people. All right, so the other thing is, this is about you and I. And so I have a little form and I want you to quickly fill it out. And if you want, we can discuss it, but it's to do with these things. And if it's a bit fragile for you, don't share anything. If you need to speak to somebody afterwards, you're welcome to speak to Paul and Jen or myself. Because sometimes these forms can, when you're ticking off things and you're thinking, oh my goodness, those needs weren't met or whatever, and then, oh dear, and it reminds me of something, and it can bring something emotional. So that's not my intention. My intention is to give you an idea of what's happening in your lives, very similar to what you'd be judging in somebody else's life in a good way so that you can actually meet those needs or help that person. So why don't we do that?